Hi everyone, this is a tutorial on how to respond to the artist BRNO DEL ZOU using Photopea. So we need to start off by opening our A4 sheet of paper first of all. So we go File, New, change the drop down to millimeters, and A4 is 210 by 290. Create. Okay, so hopefully you've prepared 3 to 4 images that we can work from for this. When you have done that, you need to open them up in new tabs. So I'm going to click Open and find my images. And again, File, Open. Now I've taken 3, and you'll notice that they are all slightly different angles. So there's my 3 images. So what I need to do now is turn each one into a grayscale image, and I want to enhance that contrast as well to just get rid of any of those sort of silver tones. So we go to Image, Adjustments, Black and White, OK, Image, Adjustments, Brightness, Contrast, click Use Legacy, and just enhance your contrast. Obviously everyone's will be different. You might need to edit your brightness. But for me, I'm going to leave mine as it was, which I'm just putting back to 0. Do the same with the next one. So Image, Adjustments, Black and White, OK. Image, Adjustments, Brightness, Contrast, use your Legacy, and up your contrast until you're happy with it. And again on my final one, Image, Adjustments, Brightness, Contrast. Oh, I haven't turned it black and white. Adjustments. Black and white. OK. Brightness, contrast. Use Legacy, and up that to the same as the others, which was around 27. Click OK. So now we've got 3 black and white images. Now what I did was I worked with a very plain background, so I stood against a white wall, so I don't really feel the need to remove my background. However, if you are posing in front of a busy background or a background with texture or tone to it, then just use your magnetic lasso tool to cut yourself out and remove that background. So you'd use it to trace around your outline, and then you would click Control-C, Control-V, and that would place you in a new layer without that background, similar to how we did it with the Dan Mountford tutorial. But I'm happy with my background, I think it's fine. So I'm going to select my rectangle select tool, or the marquee tool, and I'm going to start off by just selecting an area of my eye. Control-C, and then go back to your plain white sheet and Control-V. So now we've got my eye there. We need to select it using the Move tool and place it where I feel appropriate. I'm going to press Control, Alt and T to transform it, make it slightly bigger or slightly smaller. It's up to you guys. And when you're happy with it, just click Enter. I'm going to go back to one of my images. I'll go back here, I think, and I'm going to select part of my forehead because I'm facing face on. Control-C, go back to your project, Control-V, use your mouse tool and place it where you're happy. Now, if you then decide actually you want another layer over the top of the other, you don't like the order of layers, obviously you can wiggle them around a bit. So I'm going to put my eye over the top of my forehead like that. I'm going to choose a different image this time. I'm going to go with this one. And I'm going to select the side of my eye here, Control-C, go back to my project and Control-V. And I'm going to move that over here, but I'm going to press Control, Alt and T and just transform that much smaller. I'm obviously keeping the facial features roughly where I would expect them to be. I'm not, putting an eye where my mouth would be or a nose where my forehead would be. I'm still kind of keeping them in the correct place. I'm going to select my nose here. Control C, Control V, and I'm going to move that up. I am going to make this, apologies, I keep pressing the wrong button. I am going to make that slightly smaller, so Control Alt and T, hold down your Shift key to keep it in proportion. And I'll put my nose there. When you're happy with it, press enter. And again, if you're not happy with where that layer is, you can move them around. However, I'm going to keep that one there. Go back to another one of my images. I'm going to find this part of my hair. Control C, Control V. Use your mouse tool to move it. And Control Alt and T to change the scale of it, if you wanted to change the scale, that is. Go back to another image. This will take a little bit of time. I'm going to select just a bit of skin actually. Control C, Control V, just to kind of give me some grey area. And I need to now chuck that right behind at the back. I think I'll have another one of those. So if you're wanting to duplicate a layer, i.e. use the same one, you just select your layer, right click and duplicate. And then you can use your move tool and you'll see that you've got then two bits of the same layer, two of the same layer. Okay, let's go back. Let's add in my mouth. So using my marquee tool, Control C, Control V. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger, so Control, Alt and T. Okay, then go back to another one of your images. And I'm going to take the mouth from here as well. Control C, Control V. And I'm going to pop that behind or underneath. There we go. And I can just move that around slightly, play around with that. Okay, now I need to go back to another layer, go and select my ear, some of the neck, Control C, go back to that one, V, click your move tool, and place it where you feel appropriate. I'm going to make that slightly smaller. And you can see it's starting to build up now. We're starting to create this sort of almost cubist collage of different parts of the face. Have I used that eye already? I think I have. I used the other one, so I'm going to use this bit. Control C, Control. And what you can do as well is rotate that. So if you click Control, Alt and T, not rotate, sorry, flip it, and then right click, you can flip it vertically or horizontally, in this case horizontally. And again, because that layer is now hidden behind the other, I just need to reorder that and shuffle the layer around. So I want that probably okay, and then I'm just going to get one last area over here. So probably going to use this ear here, to be honest. Control C. and just rearrange your layers if you need to. So I'm happy with that as an example of the artist's work. That's my response, but we need to add one last thing to this to give it sort of a bit more depth to it. So the way we're going to do that is use something called drop shadows. So if you select each layer and right click, you'll get the blending options here. And at the bottom, you can see here drop shadow. Now I'm not actually sure what layer I'm on. So what was that? It was the skin layer. So because it's right at the bottom, we can't really see it. So it might be worth choosing a layer that's slightly higher up. So this one here, for example, right click, blending options, select drop shadow. There you go. Can you see that's just created a little bit of shadow there? I want that a little bit more subtle. I feel that this shadow here is a bit too much. So if you select your distance, you can bring that in. Can you see how it's changing that shadow? So I'm just going to bring that in a little bit and click OK. So just to sort of make note of it, it was 10. Okay, I'm going to find this layer here, right click, blending options, drop shadow, just bring that distance remained at 10, and can you see it's just popped this drop shadow over there. My mouth over here, right click, blending options, drop shadow, 10 automatically, good stuff. If there's a particular layer that you are wanting to use, you could just right click on it and it will tell you what layer it actually is. So this is now this one. So I can add my drop shadow to that. Okay, right click. And then when you're happy with that, you need to save your image as your JPEG. So export it as a JPEG, save. And there's your response to the artist's work.